Transport for society means that the systems that we are creating, they have to provide the major needs of people, which is providing safe and easy access to various activities that people want to participate in. The challenge is that society is very heterogeneous. There are poor people, there are rich people, there are people who they have physical disabilities, there are young people, there are old people. So the real challenge is that how do you provide systems which meets the access needs of all this heterogeneous group of people making part, who are the part of your society. Most important thing as transport experts we have to do now is to start thinking that the systems and the infrastructure that we are creating, it is how do we really make it accessible at an individual person level, which means that when we create highways, we have to understand that what kind of impact is it going to have on the other road users who may not be using the highways sitting inside cars. So it is people either using public transport or people walking and bicycling. So every kind of infrastructure that we are creating, whether it's railways or highways or very formal public transport systems, we have to understand the impact of users as well as non-users, and to reduce as much as possible the barriers that it may create for non-users. India's population is increasing, but at the moment we are 30% urbanized. Only 30% of our population lives in cities. And by 2030 or 2040, we expect to double our urban population. So I see that we have great opportunity of meeting this new urban India with the wisdom that we have learned so far. Because all the history tells us of past 100 years that we do need to plan our cities differently. Cities which exist in many of our rich countries, if that is the model which gets adopted in many other countries, the emerging economies, then we are going to have major resource constraints. So in the era of global warming and resource constraint, I think we have a huge opportunity of planning our cities differently. And that difference really comes that if we start again focusing, cities to be planned for people, and people really starts, the planning should really start by thinking about how the cities is accessible, safe and friendly to pedestrians first, bicycles, public transport users, and then finally the car users, in that order. And once we start doing that, actually we are looking at a different model of cities. We are looking at much denser cities, we are looking at mixed land use patterns where the city is not really planned around the highway systems. It's a different kind of cities where maybe road has to be understood as a street, and street can have multiple functions. Sometimes you have to let it be a calm street where children can play safely and not really worry about providing fast mobility to car users. I think that's one of the major differences we have to adopt. Only then we will be able to plan safe accessibility and mobility for these new urban residents, almost doubling our urban population in next 30 years. We should be able to do it with the current resource constraints. I think these meetings have tremendous value because they provide a very useful platform where politicians who are responsible for several major decisions get to hear what is not only each other, but also some people and experts working in this area and other stakeholders, their views. So I think when the decision makers who are looking at framing policies for next 20, 30 years, I think they have a great lesson to learn from each other. And they see that certain decisions can lead you to the wrong path, but then there are good practices being followed in many cities, which if adopted in many of the developing cities right now, may give you a very different scenario 20, 30 years. So providing this platform where the interaction between politicians and as well as some experts are possible, along with other stakeholders from very different settings from the world, I think that itself has a huge value to it.